For we are members of his body.
Yeah.
That's it.
This one says, for we are members of his body, of his flesh, and of his bones. So let me see. A, what does it say down here? Yeah, the NU text omits the rest of this verse. So your text omits. And that's why you, listen, I tell people this all the time. I'm going to say it again because, it's been a while since I said it. I try to say it like every day, but I haven't said it in a while. Is that if you're going to buy a Bible, try to buy one that has footnotes. Okay, that'll tell you why certain things are happening. I don't care about commentaries. Life application Bibles that have got the commentaries on the bottom, you get this much commentary for an entire page. It's not worth it. The guy just wrote something just to make you feel good and to make a lot of money off of selling a life application Bible. But you're not getting a sound commentary on this much commentary on 25 verses is impossible. Okay, but footnotes always give you the information. And if you want to pursue what is going on in the Bible, people will email me and they'll say, well, why is this way in this Bible? I don't understand that. If they look at the footnotes, it's usually going to be answered for them right there. Okay.
And mine does not have a note down here saying we have omitted that.
Yeah. And it's funny that they wouldn't do it because, well, that's a NIV Life Application Bible. So, but yeah, that footnotes will often tell you all kinds of good stuff. Let me see if they do it here with, I'm just going to take you to, I know I use this example from time to time, but it's a good example. So I'm going to take you to Psalm 22, and we'll see if they do it in this one. I don't need it because I've read enough Bibles with footnotes to know what is going on there. But it does say it here. This is just an easy one for you to, before we evaluate the verse we're looking at. Okay, in Psalm 22, we're going to go to Psalm 22, verse 16. And it says, therefore, dogs have surrounded me. This is Christ on the cross, okay? The congregation of the wicked has enclosed me. They pierced my hands and my feet. And that you can find the fulfillment of that in Matthew 27, Mark 15, and Mark 20, okay? So that's fine. Those are little notes that give you internal references. The ones that have the notes right by the verse, that gives you an internal reference for the Bible. But at the bottom, you'll have notes that say things, the mechanics of what is going on. I'll read it again. It says, they pierced my hands and my feet. And by the word pierced, it has a little thing saying, look at the footnotes. So you go down to the footnote, and it says, following some Hebrew manuscripts, and the Septuagint, the Syriac, the Vulgate. But the Masoretic text says something different. It doesn't say they pierced my hands and my feet. The Masoretic text, which was the Hebrew text, the oldest Hebrew text for a long, long time, the oldest manuscript that they had of it dated to about AD 1030. But it was the oldest one known at the time, and it's the one that the Bible is basically translated from, the Masoretic text. And a Masoret is a person that counts. They're counters. They would count how many letters from here to here, how many words in this scroll. And so when they made a new scroll, they'd count all of that. And if there were any errors, they'd throw the scroll away. Okay? But they intentionally changed some things in the Masoretic text. This is the text that the Hebrew, the Jewish people, after the time of Christ have used. Okay? So the Masoretic text doesn't say they pierced my hands and my feet. It says, like a lion, my hands and my feet. Well, it doesn't make any sense. Okay? But that's what they have in there. And it's a very close change in the Hebrew. I mean, it's a very small change from they pierced my hands and my feet to like a lion, my hand and my feet. Okay? But it's the only text that says that. All the other texts, which are some Hebrew manuscripts, which are, just different manuscripts, say they pierced my hands and my feet. The Septuagint, which is, what is the Septuagint? Greek
70.
Translation. That's right, the translation of the 70, and it predates Jesus by 250 years. It's the Greek translation done in Alexandria, Egypt, thank you, about 250 years before Christ. That also says they pierced my hands and my feet. The Syriac, which is another ancient witness, a translation of the Bible, says they pierced my hands and my feet. And the Latin Vulgate says they pierced my hands and my feet. Why is that important? Is because the Latin Vulgate goes way, way back to about 300 AD, way before the Masoretic text. And guess what happened when Jerome translated the Latin Vulgate. Did he translate it from Latin to Latin?
No.
No, he translated it from Hebrew to Latin. He used a Hebrew text which went back at least 300 AD and probably well before that, and he translated it, and it says, they pierced my hands and my feet. So you have all of these things, and guess what? They found the Dead Sea Scrolls, and what do the Dead Sea Scrolls say? They pierced my hands and my feet. So we know that the Masoretic text was corrupted, okay? They purposefully changed it to hide Jesus, and they've done this in Isaiah 53. They've done it in a couple other places as well. And so when you read down at the bottom, the footnotes, you'll often get mechanical information that will help you to decide what do you think is correct and why. And so this one, okay, I'm not going to read you the verse, but it says here on this verse, 28:8, following the Masoretic text and Targums. Targums are commentaries on the, Hebrew writings, okay? The Septuagint, Syriac, and Vulgate read something different. Okay, so they decided in this case to follow the Masoretic text in the Targums and not to follow the Septuagint, the Syriac, and the Vulgate. Okay, why they did that, they would have to explain why. So, and another translation may say something different. So if he reads his and I read mine, it may not say the same thing. If you don't look at the footnotes, you're not going to know why it's different. So that's his NIV is based on the NU text. Okay, and so that's why it leaves off a couple of the words from the verse we're in right now. Whereas this one follows the NU is an Alexandrian text. It comes from the Alexandrian tradition, which means Egypt. Whereas this is based on the Byzantine text, which is obviously the other side of the empire at the time. Okay, and then from there they got a guy named Erasmus came together. I can't remember the year. Forgive me. Anyway, Erasmus, I think his name was Desiderius Erasmus, got all of these texts that he had, and he went through all of them, and he made what's known as the received text, okay? And so he took all of this information, he said, this is what I think the Bible is being presented, just like they would with a thing here, but he did it in the Greek. So they call that the received text, okay? A lot of people take, and the reason why it's called the received, I believe, I could be wrong on this, but I think it's because when it was completed, they stamped it received. In other words, this is the official text received from Erasmus, okay? But people say the received, and they will tell you that it's a received text because it was received from God. No, it wasn't. It was compiled by Erasmus. Anyway, so you get all kinds of people with all kinds of agendas, and you have to kind of search things out. I won't get into that right now because I'm not snuffed up on it, and I don't want to give you the wrong information. But